welcome back to another Mugen Masterclass. Today we are working on the letter D. That will be DefenseMulSet, DestroySelf, and DisplayToClipboard. Now, starting with DefenseMulSet. I've never used this code before, but in my experience, this actually works backwards to how you would think it would work. As it reads, sets the player's defense multiplier. All damage that the player takes is scaled by this amount. So, I mean, it says it here, it's scaled by the amount, but compared to the attack mulset, where scaling a higher number will do more damage, in this case, scaling a higher number will let you take more damage. So, going into Kung Fu Man, I'm going to use a default DefenseMulSet. Now, this is a type of Sctrl that needs a constant trigger. Using a trigger like time equals 10 is not going to work. It needs a constant trigger. So I'm going to use it here in the -3s as infinite or constant. Ideally, you would use something like a DefenseMulSet if you're a transformation. So your trigger would be a variable, or maybe for like super armor or something you would use it, but again your trigger will still be a variable or something to tell it to turn on and off. So having the value at 1, I will be taking, I will be taking regular amounts of damage. I'll put on debug, let him hit me enough. Okay, so now doing the Kung Fu Palm, I'm doing 90. I'm taking 90 damage from this, and that's because my defense mul is set to 1. So I'm taking 100% of damage. If I decreased it to 0.5, I should be taking half that damage. And half of that is 45. So let me just get the health so I can see the numbers. Okay, so now the Kung Fu Palm is still 90. What the hell? You know what the problem is? Or rather, not the problem, you know what the reasoning is? I think it only affects combos. So now if I did a combo with it, it'll take much less numbers. So there you go, that's it. Now I'm gonna do a little combo. So those 3 hits did 97 damage. That's half of what it would normally take. Normally I'd be up to here. So the DefenseMulSet is basically a multiplier for you in case you're getting attacked to combo it again. So now I set it to ×2. So I should be taking 2 times the amount of damage from combo moves. See, this is, oh god, this is the light punch, this is the heavy punch, but if I combo it, I did twice as much the second time. And if I combo into a Kung Fu Palm, I did twice as much, and that's ridiculous, you know? So this basically says how much your defense is reduced. Is it reduced? How much damage you take from a combo, basically. Again, I've never used this thing. I have no idea when I would ever use it, but it exists. You know, you can go from there. Next is the DestroySelf. If called by a helper type character, DestroySelf causes the character to be removed from the field of play. DestroySelf is not valid for non-helper characters, meaning you cannot use a DestroySelf in the player state if you are a player. So like if I didn't have a change state and I had a DestroySelf, this would not work because I'm a player. I'm not an object. So now Kung Fu Man is stuck. And if you look at the debug flood, DestroySelf called for non-helper. So you get an error. So we need to make a helper, and we need to use a DestroySelf to kill it. So I'll use the helper code. This will be quick. I think I still have the State 2000s there. I do still have the State 2000s there. That's cool. position, let's go with 50 up and 50 in front. And I'll go over all that eventually later on. Alright, so there's going to summon Woodchan. Woodchan's going to bind to me at my feet. But I'm going to make it not my feet. I'll make it in front of me constantly. So now I have a helper, but I don't have a DestroySelf. So I'm just going to show you how it looks for now with just summoning the helper. Okay, so the helper is summoned. Now, if I want to get rid of the helper, I'd use a DestroySelf. The trigger would be whatever trigger I want it to be. It could be a time. It could be not anim time, so the animation plays once and then destroys itself, like so. It can be anim elem. It could be a variable. But here's the trick to DestroySelf and variables. If you use a variable in a helper, that's the helper's variables. That's not the player's variables. If you want the player's variables, you have to type either parent. If the player is the parent of the helper, you type parent variable like this, or to be safe, you type root. The player is always the root. Remember that. So using root is always going to guarantee the helper is reading the player's variables. That's one way to DestroySelf. Another one is if you want the helper to stick around until the player gets hurt, you can do parent, or let's go with root. Root move type equals H, meaning if the player is hurt, the helper is going to go away. So I summon the helper, and if I hit him, it goes away. That's a neat way to remove helpers if the player is hurt, if it's an effect, an aura, or whatever you may. We'll get more into helpers when I get to the H section. Next up, DisplayToClipboard. This controller is only useful for debugging. DisplayToClipboard clears the player's clipboard and prints a specified message to it. I can never get that word right. Display of the character's clipboards is enabled by activating debug mode. So apparently I can get up to 6 arguments, and the string can be 6 different things. You could put a large amount of text and words to fill it in, and you saw in other videos it can debug flood. This is an example of how it works. It looks like gibberish, I know. So you could put a %d for ints, %f for floats, and then there's a bunch of other stuff too. %d, %i, %f, capital F, E, capital E, G, or capital G. I have no idea what these do. I've never seen, F I have, but I've never seen what these do at all. I've never seen it before. I've always used D for like decimal points, I for integers, and F for floats. D and F kind of function the same way in a sense of what you see. Again, I'm not good at math. Math is my worst subject. So I just use it to see variables and if they turn on and off. I don't use it for any crazy mathematics. And now let's go over how it looks when you actually do it. So DisplayToClipboards normally exist in -3 states. Some characters, in my years of experience, will have a DisplayToClipboard code that will crash them for whatever reason. It'll work fine in like Mugen 1.0, but if you use that character in WinMugen, the DisplayToClipboard will kill them. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's the arguments or whatever, but it's really interesting. In any case, so DisplayToClipboard is just like the other things. It's per tick basis. So I'm using a constant trigger. The text I'm going to add in a second. And the parameters, right? So the parameter in the example, or when you click it, it says variable 10 and vel x. But let's say I don't want to get that, right? Let's say I want to get pose x, pose y, vel x, vel y, life, and well, I can't put and power, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 things. Now in my text, I could put whatever. So whatever I want. So when I put the percentage and the thing, this is going to correlate to the first one. If I put another one, it correlates to the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. But it's going to look like, actually, let's see how it's going to look. It looks like a bunch of numbers and stuff. See, a bunch of numbers and stuff. So that's why you have to kind of put words to it. So position X equals position Y equals good. Val X equals val Y T equals life equals and power equals. Now it'll look more understandable. So now you can see pose X is -70, Y is 0, val X, Y val, life, and power. So now if I move, the number is going to change and adjust accordingly. I want to pause. See, my position has changed and my val has set to -1.87. If I jump, the Y values move. It's freaking out because the numbers are going up and down real fast. If I do my attacks, I get my power going up. If I were to suddenly kill myself, I get to 1. And let me show you in another life bar set how it looks, because in Eichmann you can actually change the size of this stuff. So this is interesting. It says D float 32. This is an Eichmann related thing. I don't know what this is, but you know, you can see it a little bit better in Eichmann, albeit confusing. Well, at least the life and power work fine, which is weird. Maybe it doesn't like commas. Hey, let me see. Maybe if I put D. No, let me put float. Let me try some D's as well. Alright, so if we got floats, D's, and I's. Okay. So using a float variable, float thing, I'm getting decimals. Yeah. So using a float, I'm getting decimals for position. Using a D for X velocities, I'm getting more decimals, but it's like rounded down. And I for integers, I'm just getting solid whole numbers. So do what may you want with this information. You can also use things like variable, obviously, target, well, I think non-target. If you want to check to see if you have a target, which I showed in another video, and you can kind of go a little bit crazy with what you get here. If it turns black, it might work. If it doesn't, then it's not going to work. Simple as that. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.